Hey everyone, welcome to this live session. We're going to be going a little bit deep into food addiction here. Just want to give it a second for all the feeds to connect. Yeah, there we are. Okay. Okay, we are live, we are streaming, we are all good. So today we're going to give you some of the top tips to really deal with this issue of food addiction. I know some people don't like to call it that, but that's really what it is. Carb addiction in particular. During the holiday season, right? Now, what do we mean by that? Well, there's a couple things that are going on at this time of year that I think we should all be aware of, right? So, a lot of us are, it's December now when I'm recording this, December 12th. A lot of us are spending time with our families. I'm here as well. You can see I'm not in my usual computer, I'm not in my usual environment. I'm here visiting family in Washington, D.C., and it's a big gathering. There's going to be people from all over the world here. There are people who live here, and people remember. I'm here with my family. This is my family house. They remember that when I was little, I used to eat cakes like you wouldn't believe. Little means like 10 years ago, not that long ago, right? When I was in my 30s, whatever it may be. I used to eat a lot of cake. I used to eat waffles for breakfast and pancakes for breakfast. And of course, they're going to bring those foods out because not for any malicious reason, because they love you, right? So when they're bringing those foods out, what is your response? How are you going to handle that? And I think that there's a lot of ways to handle that. I think number one is try and communicate before those temptations come up. So try and make it clear to your family, to your loved ones that, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to be coming over to the house or whatever it may be, or you're going to be coming over here, and you're welcome to bring a gift or whatever. And you don't obviously, be polite. You don't have to bring a gift, but you can frame it however you want to. But just saying that, look, just so you know, I'm not really eating the way I used to eat, and I'm now, however you want to describe it, I'm trying to cut the carbs so that I can be healthier. I'm trying to deal with my, you don't have to get deep into this. It's always best to just give a very superficial explanation. Don't say I'm trying to deal with my emotional baggage in a way other than eating my way out of it. Don't say that because that'll just raise all kinds of questions, right? But if you want to say something like, hey, I know that I used to love whatever it may be, Christmas pudding, Christmas cakes. I'm not really going to be doing that this year. And just to give you a heads up that, that's how it is. And that has two benefits. One benefit is that you're being polite to your host. You're being a polite guest. You're explaining your dietary restrictions before you walk in the door. That's a benefit. But number two, that means you're much more likely to do it if you explain that beforehand, both to yourself and to your hosts or your guests or whoever it may be, right? Same with alcohol. If you're not planning to, if you have a plan that you want to avoid alcohol, you're not drinking, make it clear. You say, I know that I used to like wine and brandy and all these kind of things. Not really going to be drinking this holiday season. So again, two benefits. One is that you're explaining that, you're communicating that. And number two is that you're committing yourself to that, right? You're much more likely to do it if you've told someone else that you're going to do it, right? So that's a couple of thoughts around communication. The next sort of series of thoughts is really around the food itself, like your relationship with the food. How are you going to be using the food during the holidays, right? And this, again, there is no one size fits all answer. Everyone has to come up with their own answers. But the answer that I'm coming up with, because I'm facing all this stuff right now, is, hey, those look like really interesting treats. But you know what? I'm not hungry right now. And sort of being in touch with your body, being in touch with your hunger, and having a plan for when you are hungry, right? So today, when I was hungry, I had a massive steak and some eggs or whatever it is, and I'm not going to be hungry for the rest of the day. That was in the morning. Jet lagged, wouldn't usually eat in the morning, but I was hungry. I ate a big steak and, I don't know, 5, 6 eggs, something like that. And I'm not really going to be hungry the rest of the day. So if ever I feel like there's a pull of food, right, I'm going to ask myself, okay, is this a pull of food or is this a pull of emotion management, right? And if so, what am I trying to manage and how else could I manage it, right? And there are lots of things out here. It's cold December. I'm coming from hot South Africa. These cold weather is kind of nice for a little while in short bursts. I can get out there. I can have some fun. I can enjoy myself, right? I can go for if I don't want to go for a walk, I can run some errands. There's always work to be done around the house. There's always cleaning. There's always cooking. I can go and do some push-ups on the floor or chin-ups, whatever it is. So I can do all of those things as a way to manage my emotions without necessarily, using food as that crutch. So I think that, again, there's one conversation. So the first set of tips is really around communication. The second set of tips is to have a plan for managing hunger and for asking yourself, are you really hungry, or is this just something you want to participate in? And then the third set of tips is to decide who you want to be in that moment, right? Do you want to be the person who is very strict, right? Do you want to be the person who is abstaining? Do you want to be an abstainer, or do you want to be a moderator? And there's no judgment with either of those things. You can be a moderator, you can be an abstainer. It doesn't really matter. But you have to decide what you want to be. Now, the moderator is tough. Let me just be perfectly honest. Like, you gotta really change your relationship to food to be able to have one little bite of your trigger food and not binge on it. That's really, really tough. But if you're at that level, if you're emotionally mature enough, if you can handle it, by all means do it. But most of us are going to have to be abstainers in that space, right? Or at least most days, right? Maybe to give yourself permission to try and moderate some things in some quantities and come up with some tricks for doing that on certain days. Maybe whatever, if you celebrate Christmas, maybe that's the day, or New Year's, or whatever it may be, but within a given context, right? So those are some thoughts, right? Number one is communicating, making sure that everyone knows that you're not eating the same way that you did 10 years ago, or whatever it may be. Number two is, again, those tips around emotion management, thinking things through. What are you going to do when you're not hungry, but you're tempted by food? What's the plan, right? And number three is really, are you going to be a moderator or an abstainer this season? And abstainer is just going to be easier for most of us, right? So those are some initial thoughts on this. I'll be back doing more lives in the future. Leave a comment down below if you want to see more lives from me. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.